What is the number one failure of new artists in Areola that you see happens all the time that makes them fail? When you were starting, when you felt like, this is freaking hard, I'm just gonna do something else? Or was it like, there's no option for me, I'm gonna make this work?
I didn't have plan B. I didn't have a backup option. And so I just knew I am going to make this work. I was passionate about it. I loved what I did. And I was like, I'm going to make this work. And I think that that is where my drive to go do that free touch-up. I want this patient to be happy. I've told so many of my students, like, they'll get to bickering over, well, you should be charging for a touch-up and you should do whatever. And I'm like, listen, if someone just spent $500 with you and they're not happy with their eyebrow, do you want to make a quick $100 and then go off and leave them feeling like, you didn't back up your work or they weren't happy? Or do you want to do a free touch-up, make them feel like they are important to you, your artwork is important to you, you want it to be perfect? You can either look at it, you can make a quick $100 or you can build a business. But you're not going to be able to do both.
I love that. And I 100% agree with that, because if you're doing something from the heart, your clients will feel that and they will multiply. And sadly, oftentimes people just think about quick money.
Quick money. And you're going to make that $100 for a touch-up and they're going to leave and they're going to be aggravated. But for me, because I wasn't good at social media and social media wasn't nearly then what it is today, my business grew by word of mouth. And so I depended upon genuinely loving my patient and bonding and connecting with my patient. They would leave and bring me 3 of their friends or family members. And that's how it grew. But if I was like, oh, well, your brows look fine, or I'm going to fix them, you have to pay me $100 or whatever, I truly can tell you, I don't think I would have had the business that I have today.
I love that. So I remember you told me when you started, sometimes you had like clients that comes in and they have orange nipples. How did the industry change from when you started to where you are right now?
It has changed leaps and bounds, and I'm so thankful. So when I first started, we were using permanent makeup pigments on the breast. And it was like selecting a shade of nail polish. You go in, pick your color, however, and that's what you tattooed. And so we didn't understand truly color theory and how that was going to age in the body. And so we're having all these tattoos coming back orange, especially as they would age. And so now we are working with actual pigments or inks rather than the PMU pigments. So they're lasting longer. Depending upon the undertones and understanding color theory, we're now able to get those to heal looking like areolas 5 years down the road instead of orange slices down the road. So that's just one way that it's evolved. The realism, it's just amazing what we can do nowadays with realism. We used to have doctors or nurses that were performing all the tattoos in office, and they're definitely qualified to be doing tattoos, but they've never been trained to do an areola tattoo. So I just love that now when you go around to all these doctors' offices, they are really excited about having a tattoo artist come in and join and add their specialty skill to their practice. And so it's just been beautiful seeing that collaboration grow. Our machines have come leaps and bounds. I used to use a permanent makeup device on the breast, and it truly was not powerful enough to get that pigment in there. And so what you would do is just overwork that tissue trying to get it in there. And so now we have amazing machines like the Microboo. They have so many amazing machines that are out. They're getting that pigment in the breast tissue with much less trauma. So it has evolved tremendously.
Is it permanent, the areola treatment that you do?
It is permanent. That's a little bit misleading because, yes, the pigment particles that we're putting down into our patient's dermis, it is trapped in there. So it's not going to go anywhere. But with time, it starts to fade to where it's not as vibrant.
You're doing something that's honestly very, I would consider, fulfilling to the soul, because you're helping so many people. What is the most beautiful experience that you've had with a client?
I don't know if I could pick one, because I have some that are really sad, and sometimes sadness touches our soul to be thankful and appreciative for the joy. And then there's some that are so amazingly beautiful that I don't know if I could pick one. I feel like anytime I'm working with patients who are near death, I just feel like such a sense of God's presence when I'm working with them. I don't even know how to explain it.
I understand.
And so that to me is just amazing that they're on their way to meet their maker. And just remember how fragile life is. But then we have those beautiful moments to where, I have patients tell me about their sex life. They're like, oh my God, we've been going to sex counseling forever because he is not seeing me naked and I don't want to have sex with him. I hear it all. And then now that she's like, he is getting attacked when I get home, or however. I mean, we just hear so many fun stories too, to where just giving them back that confidence or feeling beautiful, feeling sexual again. And so there's all different emotions that have come along with this. Me being a mom, I do feel like the moms touched my soul in so many ways. And there's one phrase that one mom told to me, and it has not haunted me, but she said that the hospital gave her a bucket full of supplies and puppets and videos. And she said they allowed her to check out this bucket from the hospital to take it home. She said, because how do you tell your children that mommy has cancer? How do you prepare them without scaring them or lying to them? Or that's deep. Like, how do you tell your child that mommy might be dying or mommy is dying, or, and so I just think the resources that we have is another area where this has grown so much, is the resources that we have available to us.
Just listening to what you're sharing with me right now, I feel like if I'm the one doing the treatment, I probably would be appreciating my life more. So
I was a single mom, and I can remember I splurged on this rug. I don't know, it wasn't an expensive rug, but it was like $200 or $300. And as a single mom, I was like, I have no business buying this rug. My kids are going to destroy it. I can't own anything nice, but I wanted this rug. So I bought the rug. Sure enough, Play-Doh in the rug. And I can remember going to work just so mad at the kids. I was so mad at myself because I knew better than to buy this stupid rug.
Yeah.
And that's when I get to work that day. And this mom begins telling me how she discovered that she had breast cancer because she got pregnant accidentally.
Okay.
And she already had a little boy who was 2, and that she knew she got pregnant, that this was her angel baby, was sent because they discovered that she had cancer by her going in and finding out she was pregnant. That's how they found out she had cancer. And so she did lose the baby because of how aggressive the cancer was. They had to do treatment. So she lost that baby, but she was so strong with her faith and her just being able to see God's hand in that and the beauty behind the blessings involved, that she literally lost a child, but she was like, I know that that was my angel sent here so I could still be on this earth and be a mom to her little 2-year-old. She was so appreciative of that. And if you can find a good perspective in that scenario, I was just like, all right, God, I get it. The Play-Doh is not a problem. Like, I'm so blessed, and I have to start seeing life differently. I have to.
Wow, that is deep. That is deep. I don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight without just thanking God for my life, for my beautiful
We're
life.
so blessed.
And we're so blessed. Sometimes we often wake up and we complain, and then we don't realize like how many people are struggling every single day. And I feel like that's the beauty of what we do. Like, even for me, for Camouflage Tattooing, I encounter a lot of my clients, and they're very insecure with their body, and sometimes I complain about simple things, and then I see them with like crazy scar that makes them feel very insecure, and it affects not only their self-esteem but even their relationship with their family. And here I am complaining about, oh my God, I'm not happy with my meal.
No.
So do you think, because Areola had been around for quite some time, but it's actually only now that people are really starting to really appreciate it and like really dive into it. But a lot of people are also relying on social media to promote themselves. But social media is very strict when it comes to Areola. They consider it as nudity. They
shut my page down for 90 days.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're in that situation?
You sit and cry. No, I'm kidding.
I would too.
No, it definitely makes you reevaluate all of your eggs in one basket. It makes you go back and realize the importance of relationships, the relationships with my doctors, the relationships with their staff, the relationships with my patient, because you really go back to the drawing board of how did you really build this business before social media? Because we could lose our social media tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, we just never know. And so it really makes me go back and realize how important relationships are and how we treat people.
So what is the number one way that you get clients? Is it through partnering with doctors?
So the number one way that I get breast cancer survivors for me to tattoo their breast is through my doctor's offices. The one way that I get students that I actually train to do that is through Instagram.
What is the number one failure of new artists in Areola that you see happens all the time that makes them fail?
As far as artistically or business-wise?
Both.
So artistically, I feel like they way oversaturate that areola. They overwork it, and they just totally lose their realism.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
It's
Especially
oversaturated.
the edges is like, what? It has to be a little bit faded, right? And I see that it's like real round.
Harsh.
Yeah.
Yep. And then business-wise, they give up.
Yeah.
They expect to go in, and I honestly blame a lot of this, not the marketing, but some of the sales pitches that they hear, and this is like, oh my gosh, she could make 6 figures. And I feel like we are setting our new artists up for failure, because you're not going to walk in and make 6 figures doing anything if you're not willing to work.
I agree.
And you're not going to make 6 figures in 6 months. So I feel like that's a crock of bull that's being fed a lot, and that aggravates me, because we are setting these women up to fail. They feel like they're a failure because I'm not making 6 figures and I've been in this a year. You know, it took me probably, I don't even know how many years before I was making 6 figures. It took me a long time. It was not 1 year. It's not 6
making
months.
millions. I love it.
But I mean, I had to put in the work. I would say I probably did. It was probably 10 to 15 years into my career before I made 6 figures.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
And so social media has been a huge help with that, not discrediting God's hand, but social media. I have a website. I got on social media.
Yeah.
I started, being sociable because I'm kind of an introvert. I know you can't tell by my little Hawaiian skirt I've got on here, but I'm a little bit of an introvert, and I like to just go home and be home with my kids and my family. But I started going out to conferences and, meeting people, and so that helps too.
Speaking of conference, so you are everywhere in terms of conference, especially in the US. How did that start? For people who wants to be in conference, they want to be a speaker, how do they start?
They just would reach out to me on Instagram and say, hey, we're having a conference. Do you want to speak?
Right.
So once again, it comes to put in the legwork.
Right.
You're not going to do eyebrows or nipples for a year and people want you to come speak. You've got to put in the time. Now, you don't have to put in 10 or 15 years like I had to, but I'm going to say you're going to have to put in at least 4 to 7 years before you're even qualified to be up there on that stage for people to learn from you,
Your training is actually very interesting. The way you teach, because so your training facility is in Texas, and you make people fly to Texas, and then you pick them up from the airport. You have this facility where they sleep there, they eat there, and they wear pajamas during the training, which I find very, very cool.
I feel like we are always on go in the beauty industry. We always have to be on. We have to be beautiful. We have to be presentable. And so my training really has revolved around learning, but taking a break. My students all say it's like an experience. It's almost like a retreat, because we're all in messy hair buns, ponytails, no makeup. We're in yoga pants or pajamas, but we sit around and we laugh, and we have a really good time learning. It's a very casual environment.
I see that. How many days is this training?
4.
4 days. So are you teaching anything else aside from Areola during the class?
So I teach areola, scar camouflage, and inkless, because I love your new conceal kit and your serum.
Thank you.
Yes.
Speaking of our serum, so we've been working since last year, and to be honest, Sherah is actually one of the first ones to believe or give. Sorry, cut this part. Sherah is actually one of the big ones in the industry that's decided to try our product. and help us promote it and collaborate with us. So I really appreciate you.
No, I
for
appreciate
that.
you. You were so open to like talking and communicating, like how can we make this work? And we collaborated, and it's been a beautiful collaboration, and now friendship. So
No,
yeah,
now it's a
yeah.
lifelong friendship.
Stuck with me.
I'm never going to steal your husband. Don't worry.
I might give them to you. Who knows? Thank you for that, B. I appreciate that.
I promise.
I do kind of like him though, just for the record.
I promise. But so talking about New Cuisine, how do you find it?
Amazing. Truly amazing. So I was on the fence, and I just want to make this clear for the record that I was not given this machine. A lot of times as we, become more popular in this industry, we're gifted machines and stuff. Try this, see what you like, plug us, whatever. I bought the machine from B, and I wanted to try it, but I didn't even tell her who I was, what I did. I'm like, I'm just going to buy this. I'm going to quietly try it behind the scenes, and loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so it's been amazing. The timing was really ironic that we met, because I did have a really good scar artist working for my company. She had trained all over the world, and so she was who I was giving all my scar work to. She was doing probably 5 to 7 scars each week at least on top of her own. And so she decided to open her own company. So when I lost her, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go back to doing scars again, and I don't have time. Like, there's only one of me. And so it allowed me to bring Lauren in and Kendall in, who already know how to tattoo and do PMU. It allowed me to bring them in and train them very quickly in scar camouflage, because the hardest part is picking that color, is being able to color match that color.
It is very,
the
very
hardest part.
hard.
Yeah.
Remember when I started, it takes me about 15 to 30 minutes just to match colors. And sometimes even if I feel like I don't have the perfect shade yet, I would just do it because my client is waiting.
They're
there.
waiting, and they're like, are you a moron or what? Like, why are you taking so
Do you really
long?
know what you're doing? Like, I'm sweating everywhere. My armpit is sweating. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll just do it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's
Pray for the best.
It's been great, and you've been a great support for our industry. And I would say like that is honestly, I'm not sure if you also feel this, but I feel like I love our industry in paramedical tattooing, because in most cases we actually really support one another.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, you're paramedical tattoo, you're a competition to me.
Yeah.
Because my theory with that is a lot of people in the PMU industry are very skeptical about what we do, especially in camouflage and tattooing, because, oh, there's going to be discoloration, oh, it's titanium dioxide. So I feel like we always have to prove ourselves in the PMU industry.
Yep.
So instead of like talking bad about each other, we actually support one another, because we have to prove ourselves. We have to team up.
We have the same struggle. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think also even in Areola, right? Like your Facebook pages always gets banned. So now you always have to work together in order to, okay, how are we going to solve this?
Yep.
You have like a common problem.
And you've been amazing at being there. Like when my page was gone, you're like, "Girl, woman, I'm going to be your voice." So you were an amazing friend through that. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
I appreciate that. So for everybody who is watching right now, who wants to do an Areola course, they don't know where to start, or maybe they're already taken the course, they don't know how to take it to the next level. What is your advice for them?
Okay, ask me that again. Sorry.
So first, people who wants to who are thinking of going into Areola industry, they don't know where to begin. What's the best course of action? If
you don't have any experience at all, you definitely need to take an in-person class. And I love to work with new artists. A lot of Areola trainers will not work with artists unless they've had 2 years of PMU experience. I love working with new artists, and so you definitely need to get hands-on training. For sure.
Do you prefer training completely new artists or experienced artists?
Probably new. Not that I don't enjoy working with experienced artists, because I do, but I feel like when I'm working with these nurses, or I work with an esthetician or someone who used to do hair or whatever, they are just an open book. They're like a sponge, and they're so eager. Like, I can literally say, you can't tattoo unless you have your finger on your nose, and they'll be like, okay, I'm doing it. Like, and then the PMU world is like, this woman is crazy. I love working with new students. They're just so eager to learn.
Have you ever had any experience where you have, because all your students are sleeping in one facility, in one training facility. Have you ever had like people fighting?
My first class was almost my last class.
Oh
We had a
my
very young class. They were great, don't get me wrong, but we had two in there. They did not like each other.
Right.
So that was a little stressful that they were verbal about that. I'm like,
Right.
it's 4 days. Like,
Right.
we're not here to like each other. Like, we're here to learn. And so that could get a little uncomfortable. And I actually had to step in and say, like, listen, like, this is a professional environment. You're in one of my homes. And so let's keep commentary to ourselves. If you don't like each other, just sit on separate sides of the table. And it kind of calmed down. But yeah, every once in a while we do have personalities that maybe don't really like each other. But I would say that is, out of the hundreds I've trained out the lake house, we've only had one or two issues with that. Thank the Lord. It's the opposite. It's like we're in rabbit holes because we're having so much fun and talking, and we do love the camaraderie between us. So I'm like, women, like, come on, we got to get back on track. We're going to be teaching here till midnight tonight.
Yeah. So before we go, because I know you're also very busy, thank you so much for giving me this time,
Thank
by
you.
the way. So before we go, for people who already took the class, like maybe with other trainers and whatnot, and they feel like they're not getting either result or they're not getting to where they want to be or to where they expected they're going to be, what is your advice for them?
So they've already trained and they're not advancing where they want to be.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time, and it breaks my heart because their only option is to get more training. And that's not just an Areola. I hear that so many times from my students. They've taken an eyebrow class, and like, I wasted $4,000 on an eyebrow class, and now I've got to go take another one. And so, to be honest, whether you've had a great eyebrow class or a great nipple class or not, you have to keep learning. In this industry, if you stop learning, it's going to pass you by. And so I tell my students at least every other year, you need to fork out some money and take a training, stay on top of this industry. So I'm all about education, but just don't get frustrated because yes, you maybe took a bad training, but I'm sure you grabbed something from that. There had to be one little nugget that, you got from that, and you're still on your path. So
I remember you told me just recently that you're planning on retiring soon. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
yeah,
What's going to be next for you? Who's going to take care of a boutique?
Lauren, she left me.
She's gone. She's like,
She's gone.
"You got
She's like,
this.
forget
You
it.
got
Oh, she's
this."
over the booth. No, so I don't know if I could ever truly retire and never do anything, but actually starting next week, I finally worked up to my schedule to where I'm only going to be working 2 days a week tattooing now instead of 5.
Wow.
And then I'm going to slow down to doing 1 training a month instead of 2. So I'm just really for now slowing down and taking more time out for my youngest 2 that are still home. But Lauren, oh my gosh, she's been a godsend. She's amazing. The patients love her. My doctors love her.
Yeah.
She's sweet. So she's taken over some of my load, and that's been a breath of fresh air.
I think you always attract the person that you are. You attract your own tribe.
I hope. I wish I could attract more. I've attracted a couple crazies along the way, so that might be my crazy self attracting them. I don't know, but
Maybe.
Lauren was my stable side attracting her.
Finally.
My medicated side attracted Lauren.
Finally. Well, Sherah, thank you so much for your
Yes.
time. Thank you so much for the amazing friendship that you're giving me.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you for all your advice as well in the industry. I really, really appreciate you, and more power to us.
Absolutely.
And please don't retire because we're going to make more products.
Oh my goodness, I
love you.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Oh,
Thank you
shoot,
so
I
much.
knocked the table over.